So let's dive into it. Ooh, what's the first thing I should look at in my chart? I need a hot second for that one. A combination of things. So if you go on to someone who does human design and they have a widget that allows you to input your information and it spits out a chart for you. Funnily enough, I don't have one on mine simply because the program I want to use is associated with the program that I'm going through, which is through the International Human Design School. And I get the widget once I complete my certification process. Uh, I like using that system. I put everything that I'm already using. Who cares? No one cares. Anyway, so when you put your information into that widget, it'll spit out. It'll spit out the most useful information. First and foremost, being your type, your strategy, your authority, your definition, which gets a little confusing in the world of human design until you kind of get behind the scenes. Because we talk about definition being the things that are colored in your chart, but there's also a term in definition used to describe how your energy is configured. Is it single? Is it split? Is it triple split? Is it quadruple split? Okay, not that quite yet. Your not self theme, or what I would call your borrowed frequency theme, your signature theme, as well as your profile. So when you receive that initial graphic visual along with that information, it's kind of like, what the hell am I looking at? I remember the first time someone ever introduced human design to me, it was in 2020 actually. And she sent me this thing like, oh, it seems like you would be really into this. And she sent me a slide and I remember looking at it being like, the hell is this? I don't know what this is. So I was like, okay. Done. It wasn't until maybe about 18 months later that someone else introduced it to me. And that was the correct time. So if you're ever in this position of time is everything, it truly is. So just keep that in the back of your head. So what is the first thing that you should look at your chart? When you receive the information, you're not going to know truth. So when you see that your type is you see example of a generator, whether you're manifesting or pure, simply because we make up the majority of the population, it'll say generator and it'll say strategy to respond. Your strategy, truly, in layman's terms, is how you are here to approach. So for generators, that is to wait to respond. For projectors, that is wait for the invitation and recognition. For reflectors, that's wait through your lunar cycle, but for reflectors, that takes a little bit more digging, a little bit more. And then for manifestors, it's to achieve. Oftentimes, when you first receive that information and really kind of take it in, it's like, okay, what does that really mean? And then when you go through something like a reading, or specifically what I do, what I like to call the frequency mirror, a much more in-depth experience about what it means to really understand your human design chart, what it means for you. I, I don't know what to do with it. But first and foremost, I mean, it's as simple as it is now. So for manifestors, it is about initiating. However, there's a caveat because really the second piece or second and a half piece of information that you look at in a chart is your authority. So oftentimes you have to look at those two things in tandem together to really start to piece together how you approach life, which is through your type and strategy, and how you make decisions, which is your authority. In the simplest terms, the most convenient definition, what human design tells you, teaches you, discovers or rediscovers for you is how you approach life, how you make decisions. Truly, there's so much detail, there's so much information, there's so many nuances to the details behind your energy. But at the end of the day, that's what really matters. So it's really focusing on your type, your strategy, how you're here to approach life, and your authority, how you are here to make decisions. So we've already gone over the four types, right? So you're manifestor, you're here to initiate. However, you initiate through what your authority tells you is the most correct decision. So, for instance, a manifestor can have an emotional authority. For anybody out there who has emotional authority, what that means for you is there is no truth in the now. Said another way, you are not here to make decisions the moment that decision is presented to you. So using a manifester, that doesn't mean that once you had this, what's the word I'm looking for? The impetus, the starting point to go initiate something. If you have emotional authority, you're actually here to feel through your emotional wave to determine if initiating that thing is actually correct. So the thing that emotional authority individuals, regardless of what your type is, reflectors, you well, no authority, but what is that? So for manifestors, generators, for manifesting generators, and projectors, if you have emotional authority, there is no truth in that. It is imperative for you to wait 24 hours, 48 hours, 3 days, a week, a month, a year. Only you can know that. But the mechanics behind an emotional authority is that you have a decision point, and then you've got to go through your wave to determine whether that's correct. What does it mean to go through your wave? Well, first of all, you can't control your wave. It is what it is. And only over time can you start to get really familiar with it to determine what it's really telling you. And oh, by the way, I don't have emotional authority. So this is more of my logical brain being able to explain it to you versus what I've actually experienced in my life. That being said, everyone deals on the emotional plane. We all kind of quote unquote have a wave. It's that those of us who are emotionally undefined, not consistent, it's not reliable, it's all over the effing place. And oftentimes we don't know what to do with that. But back to those who have emotional authority. Really, what you're doing is you're using your emotions as data. The idea being that making a decision on the high of your wave where you're feeling great, you're feeling awesome. And that's just one data point. You go and do something and you get into it for whatever reason, that's like, or the opposite. You make a decision on the down of your wave, whether that's to, I'm using this, cut someone out of your life. They're not the right person. Or, you leave a job or you take a job or whatever the case may be out of desperation, something like that, right? You, on the low of your wave, like, oh, I can't get into that. Ooh, that's not really correct for me either. Really, what those with emotional authority are trying to determine is to get to emotional neutrality. There is no emotional charge around the decision that you were making. However, that's where all the details of the rest of your design really come into play. And in understanding the things that are defined in you that are consistent and reliable, and the things that are borrowed, that are pushing you to make a decision outside of your true inner authority. That's what your borrowed frequency is. It is your mind's way of collecting all of the energy that you don't have because it misunderstands it and it tries to override your inner authority. That's what a borrowed frequency is. Think of it as a borrowed authority that it is trying to force you into, push you into, convince you that, oh gosh, it's because of the energy you don't have that you've got to make this decision or make the decision in this manner versus the energy you do have. I could go into all the different authorities. So if you're a generator, or you're a manifesting generator, there's only really two authorities that you can have. Either sacral, which is your gut response, or your emotional, right? So for a generator, a manifesting generator, yes, your strategy is to wait to respond, to allow life to bring you things to respond to, for you to determine, oh, do I have energy available for this or no, or do I not? Therein lies the decision point for a generator or manifest. Do I have the energy? Do I not? You have sacral, it'll typically be in the moment that you can make a decision, yes or no, and follow that right in that moment. However, you're a manifesting generator or a generator with emotional authority. There's no truth in that. You'll have to wait for your emotional wave to determine if that initial yes or no was correct for you. And oh, by the way, if you have sacral authority and you can make a decision in the moment, if there is this like, I don't know, your energy just kind of like stops or stagnates, or you don't get a clear signal, whether it's a hell yes or a hell no, wait. Allow the energy or allow your sacral to support you in determining if your initial yes or no, or that I don't know, was correct. For anybody, regardless of what your authority is, always look for the wait. Always look for the wait. So allow your energy to tell you yes or no, and however that communicates to you based on your overall time. But when you're first coming into this knowledge, or you're first getting curious about this knowledge, those are the two pieces, your strategy and authority, just think of them kind of together as one, as well as your authority, are the most important things to come back to remember, to almost be radically tied to, in order to truly understand how your energy works. Now, I'll say this, you can actually get a picture of how your energy works if you're operating through your borrowed frequency or your borrowed authority, so long as you understand it. And that's what makes this information so incredibly powerful. Is that one, I don't recommend trying to piece it together on your own. Now, yeah, is that a biased opinion? Absolutely. I'm not gonna be shy about that. But I say this as a 1-3, right? The one in me went so deep into this information, trying to piece it all together, trying to kind of make sense of all these things. And I came back up and it's just like, the hell is going on? I don't understand how they kind of connect together. Or if you read something or try to take it from different sources, it could feel even more confusing. But also, I'm freelance. I've done it. I've effed it up. I've messed it up. I've gone in, come out, did all the things, right? That's what 1-3 are really great at doing, is for us to really build that foundation and allow others kind of the space of, hey, it's totally okay to mess up. Because hello, we're doing it over here every step of the way throughout our career. But this idea of trying to go it alone, that's actually the beauty of partnering with someone like myself, or anyone, give or take, who's really studied this information to the depths. Because the thing about human design is that, yes, you can look at these two big pieces of information, your strategy, your strategy and authority. Let's just look at it that. You can look at those two big pieces of information and say, okay, I understand them logically and what that means, but I don't understand how they work practically. That's the value of partnering with someone who's studied it and can help you kind of piece together all the nuances. The thing about human design is that we've got these big pieces of information, but you've got to go really, 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 really deep into the details, and then take those details and apply them back to the bigger picture to really understand how it all fits together. I'll be honest, I'm much better at doing this when I have something to respond to. Oh, I'm a generator. So when someone brings me a challenge, or someone says, I'm struggling with this, or here's what's going on in my life, the thing that I bring to the table is being able to look at the design holistically, dig down into the details, and then bring that back up and say, oh, here's the driving point behind why you're feeling this way, why this feels so off, why this is why this feels so heavy and so resistant to you. And then working together and being like, hey, one, it's okay that you're feeling this resistance, this chaos, the blech about life is simply because you're still on the journey of understanding how your energy really works. That's why I go so deep into your borrowed frequency and really put a lot of focus on, okay, how does that really play out for you? Because the more that you understand how that plays out for you, how you get trapped in your borrowed frequency and why that brings so much more resistance to your life than you're really intended to experience, then you can start to really figure out your true frequency. And it's this kind of concept I'm playing with is that we create your frequency map together when we work together, for you to really understand not only the big pieces of your strategy and authority and how those come together, but all the little teeny tiny pieces underneath it and how they contribute to your overall being, how they contribute to how you find success in your job, with your team, in your relationship, with your children if you have them, whatever the case may be. The thing that we really focus on together is, yes, you take your strategy and authority, and I always tell you to come back to your strategy and authority. But it's all about understanding the nuances beneath that to really support you in understanding, oh, when you fall into the chapter or frequency, this is what it looks like, this is how you're going to be doing it, and coming back to your strategy and authority to really start living the life that was truly intended for you and the way that it was intended for you and the way that you were here to experience the life that you would get. So, end of the day, the biggest pieces you want to look at are strategy and authority. They are the ones that will always bring you back to center. Those are the two pieces of information that will always bring you back to you. All the other details in that chart and what they really mean and how they really come to life for you so that you can really start to decipher, oh, is this my borrowed frequency or am I operating? Happy Thursday, friends.